Have you ever found yourself waking up and wondering, what now? The kids are grown, the career is behind you, the routines that once filled your days have slowed down, and in the quiet, something starts to stir. Not boredom exactly, but a restlessness, a sense that there must be more to this next chapter than just passing time. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Life after 60 isn't the end of the road. In fact, it can be the most meaningful, purpose-filled chapter yet. But here's the thing most people don't tell you. Purpose doesn't just arrive one day wrapped up in a bow. You have to go out and build it. And the beautiful part is, it's never too late to begin. Today we're diving into how to create a purpose-driven life after 60. One where every morning feels worth waking up for, and every evening ends with a quiet sense of fulfillment. Not because everything is perfect, but because it finally feels right. Let's start with something simple but powerful, redefining what purpose really means. For years, purpose may have looked like your job title, raising a family, or hitting certain milestones, but now it's more personal. It's not about proving anything to the world, it's about what makes you feel alive. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger, volunteering, learning something new, or even just making someone smile each day. Purpose isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes it's quiet, but deeply satisfying. And it's often found in the small, consistent acts that align with who you are now, not who you used to be. It helps to pause and ask yourself, what do I still care deeply about? Maybe it's animals, nature, storytelling, healing, music, or simply being present for someone who needs a listening ear. Start there, write it down, reflect on it, not with pressure, but with curiosity. Purpose is often hidden in the things we're naturally drawn to, but have pushed aside for years because life got in the way. Now let's talk about something else just as important, connecting with others in a meaningful way. We're wired for connection, but after 60, social circles can shrink. Friends move, people drift apart, and sometimes loneliness creeps in quietly. Purpose often blooms where there's community, not just casual chit-chat, but real connection, where you feel seen, heard, and valued. That might mean joining a local group, taking a class, starting a morning walking club, or even just having regular coffee dates with someone who lifts your spirit. It doesn't have to be a big crowd. Sometimes one good conversation a week is enough to remind you that you still matter, that your voice still has weight, and that your experiences are valuable. And here's something powerful to remember. Just by showing up, just by being present, you could be the spark that lights someone else's day. That's purpose too. As we explore this journey of creating a purpose-driven life, the key is to stay open to your own evolving identity, to new relationships, and to paths you may have never considered before. You haven't run out of time. In fact, now might be the first time you're truly free to live life on your terms. Once you begin to reconnect with what truly matters to you and surround yourself with people who lift you up, something inside starts to shift. You start to feel less like you're simply existing and more like you're genuinely living. That quiet restlessness begins to settle, and in its place a spark starts to glow. That spark, that's the beginning of purpose. Another powerful way to keep that spark alive is by learning something new, and I mean anything. A language, an instrument, how to garden, paint, dance, use a computer better, even how to fix a leaky faucet. It's not about becoming an expert. It's about staying curious, active, and engaged. When we stop learning, we start shrinking. But when we learn, even just a little, we grow. And with growth comes renewed energy and excitement. Think about it. When was the last time you were a beginner at something? It's humbling, yes. Sometimes frustrating, but it's also refreshing. You get to laugh at yourself. You get to celebrate small wins. You give your brain a workout. And more importantly, you prove to yourself that you're still evolving, still capable of change, creativity, and progress. Purpose thrives in motion, not perfection. And here's something that often gets overlooked but makes all the difference: sharing your story. You've lived through so much: heartbreak and hope, mistakes and victories, lessons that can't be found in any book or taught in a classroom. There's someone out there, maybe a young adult, a neighbor, even a stranger online, who could learn from the road you've walked. You don't have to stand on a stage or write a memoir. You just have to be willing to open up. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger at your church or community center. Maybe it's sitting down with your grandkids and telling them what life was like when you were their age. Maybe it's starting a blog or simply writing your thoughts in a journal where others might one day find them. You'd be surprised how healing it is, for you and others, when you share your truth. We often underestimate the value of our voice, especially as we get older. But your voice still matters, your experience still carries weight, and when you share it, you give others permission to reflect, learn, and grow too. Purpose isn't something you chase like a finish line. It's something you uncover by living with intention, by choosing to show up, to try new things, to build connections, and to give meaning to your experiences, both past and present. And the best part? You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep taking small steps in the direction that feels true to you. Every day is another chance to move a little closer to that life that feels full. Not just of things to do, but of things that matter. And when your days are filled with what matters most to you, that's when purpose stops being a question and starts becoming your way of life. Sometimes purpose doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't always show up in big, world-changing ways. Sometimes it simply shows up in how you treat the person in front of you, or how you treat yourself. And that brings us to something many people overlook when thinking about purpose: self-compassion. It's easy to look back on your life and get caught up in regrets. The "I wish I had," or "if only I had known" thoughts can sneak in and steal the joy from the present moment. But here's the truth. You did the best you could with what you had at the time. And now you have the chance to approach each new day with fresh eyes, grounded wisdom, and a softer heart. Treat yourself kindly. Speak to yourself like you would a dear friend. Celebrate how far you've come, not in comparison to others, but in reflection of your own unique path. A purpose-driven life is not only about giving to others, it's also about giving grace to yourself. You're still growing. You're still unfolding. And that's something to be proud of. And here's a powerful thought to hold on to. You don't need permission to live fully. Not from society, not from your past, and certainly not from anyone who thinks life slows down after 60. You're not past your prime. You're standing in a new one. A different kind of prime, one where pressure fades and authenticity rises, where joy doesn't come from achievements but from alignment. From waking up in the morning and knowing your time, your energy, your presence, all still matter. When you embrace that, everything shifts. Ordinary days start to feel sacred. Conversations carry more meaning. Small acts of kindness ripple farther than you realize. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to lean into what feels true, one small decision at a time. Maybe that means starting a morning routine that fills you with calm and focus. Maybe it's turning your living room into a space where you dance again, or paint, or write, or sing. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in years, simply because your heart says it's time. Whatever it is, listen. Purpose often speaks softly, but it always speaks from within. You've earned this season of life, and you get to shape it into something meaningful, not just for others, but for you. Because when you wake up feeling connected to your values, your passions, your people, that's when life feels rich. Not because of how much you do, but because of how deeply you feel it all. So take a breath. Look around. This moment, right here, is part of your purpose. Not in the distant future, not in the past, but in the quiet now, where you get to decide how you'll live the rest of your story. And if this message spoke to you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What does purpose mean to you now? Feel free to share in the comments. I read everyone. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more heart-centered, age-positive content just like this. Here's to a life after 60 that isn't just lived, but loved. Here's to waking up each day with meaning, momentum, and a smile. You deserve that, you always have. There's a certain peace that begins to settle in when you know you're living in alignment with your values, your curiosity, and your truth. But purpose isn't just about connection or creativity. It also lives in contribution. One of the most fulfilling ways to add meaning to this chapter of life is by giving back, in whatever way feels right for you. Now, giving back doesn't always mean writing checks or starting a foundation. Sometimes it's as simple as offering your time, your presence, or your attention. Volunteering at a local animal shelter, reading to children at a library, helping someone learn to read, offering your wisdom to someone starting a business, or just being the person a neighbor can count on. These aren't small things. They're seeds of significance. When you give your time and your heart to something outside of yourself, a surprising thing happens. You stop feeling like you're on the sidelines. You stop watching life go by and start feeling like an essential part of it again. That sense of being needed, being useful, it's powerful. It anchors you. It reminds you that no matter your age, you can still make a difference. And making a difference, even to one person, gives life a deep and lasting purpose. But let's not forget one more vital ingredient in all of this: taking care of your emotional and spiritual well-being. Because no matter how active or involved you are, if you're not at peace with yourself, something will always feel a little off. And at this stage of life, you deserve peace more than ever. This might mean developing a daily habit of quiet reflection. Maybe it's prayer, meditation, journaling, or simply sitting outside with a cup of tea and listening to the birds. You don't need anything fancy, just a few minutes to breathe, to let go of noise and pressure, and to reconnect with your own heart. Because that's where purpose truly begins. Not in the busyness, but in the stillness. Give yourself permission to feel grateful for the life you've lived so far, even if it wasn't perfect, especially because it wasn't perfect. The bumps, the detours, the unexpected turns, they all led you here. And here is a beautiful place to be. With wisdom under your belt and time still ahead of you, you have the rare opportunity to live with intention rather than obligation. To choose how you spend your time and who you spend it with. That's freedom. And freedom opens the door to purpose. So as you move through each day, ask yourself, not what should I be doing, but what would make today feel meaningful? Maybe it's reaching out to someone you love. Maybe it's starting a small project you've been thinking about for years. Maybe it's simply deciding to enjoy your own company and smile a little more. A purpose-driven life doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It just has to feel true. And when your days are shaped by truth, kindness, connection, and curiosity, you won't have to search for purpose. You'll already be living it.